Yes, and if you could please turn on your mics, commissioners.
Sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Ellison is present. Commissioner Clymer is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is on the phone. Chairman Bray is present. We have a quorum.
Vice Chairman Barnes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And we're not missing anybody, right? Perfect. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 1, and that's the approval of the draft minutes from Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on December 1st, 2021. Those were on lines, and I will entertain a motion.
I so move.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish, to approve the December 1st, 2021 minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for a citizen who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Non-agenda items. Are there any speakers cards? Anyone from the audience? Perfect. All right. On to disclosure of ex-parte communication. This is an opportunity for commission members to disclose any ex-parte communication they may have had prior to the meeting on any item scheduled for the discussion of this agenda. Any disclosures? No. Vice Chairman Barnes?
Disclosures.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, we're moving into the public hearing. This is the Estrella Springs and Suncrest Vista at Canyon Trails rezone. I will open the public hearing. Christian will be presenting. Happy New Year. Welcome back.
Happy New Year, everybody, and good evening, Chairman Bray and Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm here before you this evening with a request from Brian Greathouse to conduct a rezoning on a property within the city. The property is approximately 29 acres, and it is located at the southeast corner of Cotton Lane and Van Buren. This is adjacent to what will be the future State Route 303 loop as it makes its way south of Van Buren Street. The property is currently zoned Planned Area Development within the Canyon Trails Phase 1 PAD, and the property is located on my map right here, vicinity of the star and box. And if you can't see that, I'm going to zoom in for you. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that the parcel, again, is within Canyon Trails. Today, the site is largely undeveloped, and it's currently being farmed. It is located, again, east of the State Route 303 freeway, west of a 100-foot green belt within Canyon Trails Unit 3, and the single-family development to the east. It is south of vacant land within Canyon Trails with an underlying zoning of commercial, and it is north of the Aviata at Canyon Trails project, which was rezoned late last year. As a note, it's also 1/4 of a mile north of Canyon Trails Town Center. For a little history on the property, it is within Canyon Trails. In 1999, which is this middle map here, the project was zoned as part of Canyon Trails Phase 1 PAD. The northern 10 acres of the property we're talking about today has an underlying zoning of commercial. The southern approximately 19 acres of this site has a underlying land use designation of medium high density residential. Another note I would like to point out is that in 2005, which is on this map over here, Canyon Trails overall commercial land use grew when the Canyon Trails Town Center was zoned. That was 91 acres of commercial, and that used to be commercial multifamily townhouses, court homes, and single family. That all went to commercial in 2005. You will recall that in September, a portion of that site was rezoned, 12.7 acres of that site was rezoned back to multifamily. So about 78 acres of commercial still are contained within the Canyon Trails Town Center. About 300,000 square feet of that is vacant today. So today's proposal is to rezone 10 acres at this corner here from commercial to MF24, and the southern 19 acres from medium high density residential to MF24. If you're curious about the loss of commercial in Canyon Trails, when this 1,800 square foot master plan community was developed, it originally envisioned 146 acres of commercial. After Canyon Trails Town Center, it grew to 247 acres of commercial. If this rezone is approved today, we will be at 194 acres of commercial, which is 48 acres of commercial more than was envisioned when Canyon Trails was conceived. This map illustrates the history. As it relates to other multifamily in the area of Goodyear, between McDowell on the north, SR30, future SR30 on the south, Perryville on the west, and Bullard on the east, there are 8 established multifamily communities. 1 is for the baseball team, 5 are traditional garden style, and 2 are single-family rentals. Those are shown in orange. Shown in purple, there are 8 under development or recently completed. 2 of those will be garden style, 6 of those will be single-family rental. And shown in yellow, there are 18 zoned for multifamily. 8 are likely to be single-family rental or townhouse style. 8 are likely to be garden, and 2 of those are within the former city center area. So those will likely come back for a rezone. Shown in blue are 4 projects that you might see in the future. And here's our site that we're talking about here today. Now I want to quickly discuss what's happening along this 303 corridor as it gets closer to an ultimate construction at the later part of the 2020s. Van Buren Street will have limited access to and from State Route 303. As currently proposed by ADOT, there will not be a northbound on-ramp onto Loop 303 from Van Buren Street or a southbound off-ramp from Loop 303 onto Van Buren Street. That's kind of what this shows on this slide here. Thus, traffic coming to Goodyear from I-10 will pass over Van Buren Street, and the first exit opportunity they have will be down at Yuma and the 303. That is where all 4 corners have some commercial opportunity, one being Canyon Trails Town Center, the other being Cotton Flower Marketplace, the third being what will be DeRozier near Romans, and the fourth is the northwest corner of Cotton and Yuma. And then traffic coming from the south will be able to exit at Van Buren or continue on the main line to Interstate 10. And then the diamonds on this right show you the interstate interchanges. So if it's a full diamond, that indicates it's full access. If it's a triangle or a half diamond, that means it's limited access onto the 303. So that kind of gives you a little bit of context about access onto these neighborhoods from the 303. So let's talk about today's proposal. The applicant is requesting, again, to rezone the property to MF24 Multifamily Residential District with a PAD overlay to facilitate the development of 2 distinct multifamily developments. The standards and requirements in the zoning code will apply, including those from MF24, except as modified by a PAD overlay. The PAD overlay is going to provide modifications based on the nature of the location of these developments. And the PAD will provide modifications applicable to the north 10 acres. That is going to be called the north zone if you see that in the staff report. There'll be separate standards for the south zone, which is the 19 acres on the south. And then there will be modifications that apply to the whole 29 acres. So the property will be developed in 2 pieces, not necessarily separate, but there's 2 distinct communities. The north is an age-restricted community, and that's called Suncrest Vista in the zoning. That's what they anticipate calling it. This will be senior development, and it is considered multifamily housing. It is not assisted living. In this area because it will include full kitchens and things of that nature. The south zone is not age-restricted and can include all ages, and will be known as Estrella Springs. So the use of this PAD overlay is justified as the MF12 standards don't address some of the unique circumstances that are found in this development. So a few things that will be changed in this will be setbacks, some height, and open space requirements for this development. The PAD is also going to talk about provisions if the the parcel is split, what the setbacks will be in the internal of the parcel amongst each other. It also enhances the design, amenity requirements, and provides for diversity in the building architecture. So now let's talk about what's in this PAD overlay. As stated before, it's a PAD overlay on the MF24. We're going to highlight some of those changes, starting with height. By right today, the northern 10 acres, which is currently zoned commercial, can have a building that goes up to or ascends to 56 feet in height. The applicant requests to retain that 56 feet in height with this rezoning. However, this does not mean that the overall density on the site will be allowed to exceed 24 acres across the entire project. So for an example of what that might look like or a height that's comparable to that, the senior community that's being built off of Bullard and I-10, Sparrow or Mira, which was rezoned, that's approximately the same height as what would be retained on this site today. Additionally, the south family side will stay at the MF24 40 feet. Moving on to setbacks, the site is directly west of a 100-foot wide Canyon Trails greenbelt, meaning that the nearest single-family home lot is 100 feet away. And due to this large distance between the homes and the future multifamily, the proposed additional building setbacks will be measured from the residential lot line, not the greenbelt. In addition to that, they will put a 20-foot wide landscape setback adjacent to the greenbelt, and there's provisions for trees that will need to be planted along that to give it a nice buffer. This is not normally requested in a typical C2 commercial or multifamily development. And then there's a setback in the middle of the site. So right now today, this is one parcel, will include multifamily for seniors and housing. If the parcel's split in the middle, there's provisions for what that internal setback line will be from buildings. For parking, in the north, since the property is age restricted, if a deed is recorded against the property that makes sure it's age restricted, they are requesting 1 space per 1 bedroom, 1.22 spaces for 2 bedrooms, no changes for 3 bedroom or guest parking. The language in this parking provision are very similar to what was approved at Mira Sparrow, which is that other age-restricted project under construction today. For parking on the south, the property is requesting reductions in the parking standards as they intend to manage the amount of vehicles that are allowed on site with their tenants. These provisions will be requested in the lease, and this will only be approved with a parking agreement approved with the site plan. They are requesting 1.1 spaces per 1 bedroom, 1.45 spaces for 2 bedroom, no changes for 3 bedroom, no changes for guest parking. The overall space calculations are very similar to what was approved with the district at Civic Square, which is under construction today over at Monte Vista and Pebble Creek Parkway. However, the difference between those two is this project is not requesting tandem, so that whole sharing a parking space with your roommate is not a factor within this development. The parking plan concept you might recall from the Canyon Trails Town Center Residences project, which was rezoned in September, and also, again, the aforementioned district at Civic Square. There's also a provision that will require a minimum of 716 spaces across both projects on the site. Now I will highlight, and finally, for outdoor space, private outdoor space, the developer is requesting a reduction in patio depth and size. They're requesting a 1-foot reduction down to 5 feet. That's similar to the residence at Canyon Trails, which was approved a few months ago. And patio sizes on the south, they're requesting minimum balconies of 50 square feet and ground floor 58 for the senior section. For the southern section. For the senior section, they are requesting 55 square foot balconies and no change on the ground floor patios. That would be the minimum. And although these private open space requirements are slightly smaller than what is found in MF24, the reduction is offset by enhancements that we'll talk about on the next slide as it relates to overall open space. So, open space, the developer will provide a minimum of 500 square feet of recreational open space per unit. That is 25% greater than is found in a typical MF24 development. They will ensure that 40% of that open space is active open space. So turf, trails, seating, gathering areas, not just rocks and trees. In the north zone, the amenity will include a minimum of an 8,000 square foot clubhouse, a minimum 2,000 square foot fitness center, a library, a salon, a central courtyard with games that have things like bocce ball, cornhole, things of that nature. The development will include a porte-cochere. They will have grilling areas and a dog park. Those are to highlight a few of them. And this is stipulated in the zoning, so that this is going above what is a typical MF24 standard. In the south zone, they will have a minimum 6,000 square foot clubhouse, minimum 4,000 square foot fitness center, 2 covered tot lots, a turfed play field, a resort style pool and hot tub, dining areas, ramadas, dog park, to name a few of them. The developers also codified the minimum interior standards of some of the units, and the developer has committed in the zoning to put up art that can be visible from the public. Again, one of the goals that we've heard is that we want to see more art in developments. This developer has said they will do that. We've codified that in zoning. As it relates to architecture and color of the building, the development will include a minimum of 4 color schemes, 4 colors per color scheme. Those color schemes will need to be dispersed throughout the site, particularly in the southern side. Thought that 3 color schemes distributed amongst those buildings. And they will need to have a minimum of 2 distinct roof lines. A comment sometimes is that all the roof lines look exactly the same. So in this zoning, we're contemplating that, the different roof lines on different buildings. There's language about diversified color. They've worked with the HOA to the east to ensure that a minimum of 2 of the colors in the color schemes will come from the HOA color palette, and the other 2 color schemes will be colors will be distinctive. So it's not just who's gray, grayer, or grayest. There's some vibrancy in the colors. If walls are constructed around the site, they'll need to be cohesive with the development and the character of the community surrounding it. On the west side, as you're well aware from other zoning cases, there's a trail that is slowly making its way from Lower Buckeye up to RID. In their 30-foot landscape setback, they have a commitment to do the trail, 8 foot wide, 1 seating area, and connections into the development. And a big item I do want to highlight, which I've not seen before, is the green belt owned by Canyon Trails to the east of it. This is a picture I took yesterday. Karen and I went on a little field trip. This is the green belt. It's not very green right now. It's literally dirt. There's some irrigation issues there. This developer has committed to working with the HOA on finding a solution and financing some of that, working with them to ensure that they can get that green belt up to some sort of natural looking state and providing some amenities in there. That is codified in the zoning. To date, the city's received 5 letters of support for this rezoning. Those letters come from the Canyon Trails Unit 3 HOA, Arizona Housing Coalition, Western Alliance Bank, Westmark, and UPS. Staff has evaluated the impacts of this proposed zoning to the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff recommends you forward an approval recommendation for the rezoning of this property from planned area development with an underlying current zoning of commercial and medium high-density residential to entirely MF24, with the Estrella Springs and Suncrest Vista at Canyon Trails, PAD overlay, subject to the stipulations found in the staff report. The applicant is here. They do not need to speak, but if you have any questions, we're happy to take those.
Thank you, Christian. Any questions for staff? I got one question. I know that area pretty well. So it looks like there's 2 exits off of Van Buren, but as far as fire, there's no need for an exit off the side or an emergency exit?
So we're not at the site plan stage yet,
Okay.
but preliminarily what it looks like is there may be an emergency access on the Van Buren here, the primary access here on the east side, and then provisions for some potential access pending ADOT approval onto the future frontage road of Cotton Lane.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Anybody have questions for the applicant? No. Commissioner Barnes?
No questions from me.
Okay. Are there any speakers cards?
Yes, John Belkey.
John, do you want to come forward? So the rules are here are 3 minutes in comments. There's some lights right there that are to the right of you, right up here. So there's lights right there. You'll see a red, green, and yellow. That's just the timing. 3 minutes, just your name for the record, and feel free to go.
First of all, thank you for doing this. My name is John Belkey at 57 North 169th Drive in Goodyear, Canyon Trails 3. Right across from my house is one house, and then this beautiful, flat, open area. I love walking along the green belt on Canyon Trail 3 with my beautiful wife and dog. And we bought this house specifically because it was so open there. You saw cotton fields, and I'm sorry, had I known this was going to be developed within 2 years after I bought it, I wouldn't have bought it there. I understand the city wants tax revenue. I understand the developers want to develop and make money. I dig it. All I'm asking is more green space than less. They said they're going to do more. I like to see them hold them to the fire with that. I talked to Christian about it, and I thank you for calling me back. Up in Wisconsin, we don't even get phone calls back from our common council or anybody. So please, more green space. You don't have to put trees there. Just leave it dirt, grass, open, so people can see what openness means. This is why people come out here to Arizona to see open instead of houses and houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers' cards? Anybody else wish to address the council? Mr. Bull?
Only if you want me to.
Mr. Bull is the applicant. Do you wish to hear from him or have any questions for him?
If you're comfortable, we're comfortable.
I think we're comfortable. And I just, for the record, that, this is just we're going to forward our recommendation, and then council will be the final yes or no on this. So no matter what we do tonight, you have a second bite of the apple. I hear what you're saying, but also this was zoned for commercial at some point in time. So, I would love to have a beautiful view as well, but it doesn't always work that way. So with that, are there any other public comments?
No.
Okay. With that, I will close the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we approve number 21-200-00008.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve the agenda item Estrella Springs and Suncrest Vista at Canyon Trails, 21-200-00008. Is there any discussion?
No.
Commissioner Barnes? Maybe he's not there anymore. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. On to agenda item number 3. Thank you. On to agenda item number 3, and also for the gentleman that spoke, if you have any questions for City Council, just talk with our staff for the date that it's going. I'm sure they'll be happy to assist you. Agenda item number 3, this is a use permit for convenience use. I will open the public hearing. Steve is here. Happy New Year. Good to see you, Steve. You made it through the holidays.
I did, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone as well.
Anything to do with food, we get to see Steve.
Signs, lights. He's our sign guy, sign and light guy. Mr. Bull brought like a whole room tonight.
I picked him up on I-10. Did you okay, isn't it?
I figured maybe since you're not talking with us as much, you're just going to overwhelm us with people in the crowd, which I'm okay with. I like to see them.
As long as they're smiling.
Sorry, Steve.
All right. Mr. Chairman, Commission members, have a use permit before you tonight. And again, like we talked, it is for some food, beverages. And where we are located, Pebble Creek Parkway, McDowell Road, I-10 down here. This is the center where the use is proposed, Cobblestone Creek. Surrounding the center, we have single-family residential to the west, Palm Valley, kind of wrapping around to the south, a couple commercial centers, and again, wrapping around to the east as well, mostly commercial. Cobblestone Creek itself, again, we'll see several drive-through uses in here, several car facilities, Walgreens right here. And just to point out, access to Cobblestone Creek, we do have full access into the center here, all turning movements signalized. Obviously, this intersection is signalized. We have a couple right-in, right-outs into the center, and another full turning movement signalized intersection right here. So access, full turning movements, a couple different places, several right-in, right-outs. And a little background, again, Palm Valley Phase 8, big area all the way from Pebble Creek, kind of over to the Loop 303, down to 10, kind of wrapping up. A lot of it was residential. Got some commercial here along the freeway. And where we are right now is this triangular piece right here, and that was mixed-use commercial in the PAD. And tonight's request, again, use permit for a drive-through restaurant. The parcel where we're looking is about a little over an acre in size. Most of the site improvements for this center are complete. They'll have some improvements with their pad, but again, most of the surrounding infrastructure is complete. Looking about 830 square foot building, 760 square foot outdoor patio, and should clarify there's no indoor dining with this one. All use of the beverages and food will occur on the outdoor patio. And this is the site plan submitted with the use permit. Orient ourselves, Pebble Creek's right here. You have one of those right-in, right-outs to Pebble Creek. So customers can come in, enter the drive-through, queue, and with this one, there are no menu boards. So queuing will occur all the way up to here to the drive-through window, and customers will order, pay, receive their products. Here we go, right here. So again, no menu boards that we typically see with a drive-through restaurant. So also with this one, there'll be a pickup window here for pedestrians. And again, this is that outdoor patio where then they can consume their beverages. Parking, a lot of it's existing here. A lot of the drives surrounding are existing. This is the Taco Bell to the north. This is the Walgreens here and the Walgreens drive-through right here. Proposed architecture for the building utilizes the materials and colors of the center. And for the use permit, two criteria we look at. Will it cause a detriment to anybody in the area? Is it compatible? We've looked at it, and we find that it is compatible with the commercial uses for this center. There are several other drive-throughs in this center, other commercial uses. It'll be compatible with those. Traffic and queuing are internalized. Their queuing within their drive-through lanes exceeds city standards. I think 5 cars is our standards. They're proposing at least room for at least 17. And then with no nearby residential, the residential within Palm Valley, it's about 600 feet to the west. Some of the other criteria we look at is a parcel adequate inside, and that was yes. The applicant is internalizing all their uses on site. We're not going to have any impacts to our public streets. Hours of operation, given the residential was so far to the west, we did not see any issues, so no restrictions on hours. Traffic mitigation, all off-site improvements are done to Pebble Creek and McDowell, so there were no issues with that. So, and again, concerns, at this time it's a use permit only, so no other concerns at this. Staff conducted all the notice required for a public hearing, received no opposition to this request. So we find it meets all of our evaluation criteria. Staff is recommending approval subject to the 10 stipulations in the staff report. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Staff's available for questions. The applicant is also available for any questions.
Thank you, Steve.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Clymer.
Pebble Creek Coffee, is that the name of what we're talking about? Does this place have a name?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, this was the name that the application was submitted under. As you can see in the staff report, the specific use is a Bikini Beans coffee shop.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? None? Good job, Steve.
Question, Patrick.
Oh, he's back. Now he wants to speak. Commissioner Barnes, go ahead.
Steve, the screen wall between the end of the drive through and the street, is that tall enough to meet the city's requirements to block headlights?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, yes, it's existing and it will be tall enough to screen headlights.
Okay.
Any other questions, Vice Chairman Barnes?
Only question.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? The applicant is here. Does the applicant wish to address the commission, or do you guys have any questions for the applicant?
No.
All right. Seeing none, we'll move into the public comment. Are there any speakers cards? Anyone from the audience wish to address the commission on this agenda items? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we push to the City Council the 21-300-00009, the use permit for the Pebble Creek Coffee Shop.
Second.
I'm going to take the push as a approve.
Yeah, as approved.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my...
Push is a new term, but I mean, if that's where we want to go. Good luck, Sarah. You got your work cut out. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Vice Chairman Barnes?
Aye.
Okay. If you'll please, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is the preliminary plat for Cotton Lane Commerce Park. And Karen, Happy New Year. Welcome back. We're going to get the whole staff tonight. I love it.
Party time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cotton Lane Commerce Park preliminary plat. That's the first item before you. The subject property is at the southwest corner of Elwood Street and Cotton Lane, just a bit north of MC 85. The building right here, just off the corner of the site, is the Hutamaki building. And we have Anderson Windows, Amazon, and under construction right now is the first phase of the Lakin Industrial Park. You can see West Commerce Drive comes through here, through the Goodyear Crossing Industrial Park, and it will be extended as a driveway into this property. And the entrance into the Hutamaki site is also a section of Broadway Road. They are going to create 2 lots out of their property, lot 1 being up here, and it will have access onto Elwood Street, and there will be some access onto Cotton as well. And then this is where that extension of Commerce Drive will occur into this development. This lot, Lot 2, will have access onto that driveway into Hudamaki, known as Broadway Road, and there'll also be access points on Cotton Lane. We have been reviewing 2 site plans in conjunction with this preliminary plat. The first one is for, on Lot 1, a 760,000 square foot cross-dock warehouse distribution facility. Cross-dock meaning that there are dock doors and truck parking on both sides of the building. And then down here in Lot 2, that's single-loaded, almost 300,000 square feet. In this case, the dock doors are just on the back of the building, and it will total a little over 1 million square feet. And with the development that will occur on this property, there will also be road improvements to Cotton Lane and to Elwood, and there will be financial contributions to expand this existing signal at Commerce Drive and Cotton Lane, and also to contribute to the signal at Elwood and Cotton. This is the second site plan we've been working on. We did both of these simultaneously. Told the applicant that we would do that. We would review both layouts and approve them. And then at the time of construction document submittal, they were going to need to pick one of the options and just proceed with that. And this, the lots haven't changed. This is still Lot 1 up here, but they now have 2 buildings there, a little smaller cross-dock facility, a single-loaded facility in addition to that, and then this building remains the same. And so they end up with a little less than 1 million square feet. And this preliminary plat is consistent with all the technical requirements of the city subdivision regs and the engineering standards, and we are recommending approval subject to the stipulations in your staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, and Michael Buschbacher from Hunter Engineering is also here representing the property owner if you have any questions of him.
Thank you, Karen, I appreciate that. Any questions for staff? No. Vice Chairman Barnes?
No questions.
Oh, there he is. I love our phone system.
Like a seance.
Yeah, right. Great work on the staff. I think that's a great idea to do both, sites 1 and 2, and it saves our customers, and great work on that. That's something we haven't seen, and I would encourage more of that. It makes sense.
We've done about 4 or 5 times we've been doing that. And quite frankly, you would think, oh, geez, you're doubling your work. But it really is much easier for us to do them and look at them right together. Oh. Not 6 months down the road, and then you got to go, oh, what was in this? How was that prepared? It really works out easier for us as well. So.
And I think for our customers, it's much simpler. So kudos to you guys. Maybe I just don't remember seeing that before, but it's a new year, right? Any questions for the applicant? Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Thank you. Any speakers cards? Anyone from the audience wish to address the commission? Perfect. With that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Cotton Lane Commerce Park. Do we have to include both the...
It's just for the preliminary plat.
The preliminary plat for the Cotton Lane Commerce Park. Move that we approve. Second.
It has been motioned by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Clymer to approve the preliminary plat for Cotton Lane Commerce Park. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5. This is the preliminary plat for Camelback 303. And Karen, you're still up.
I'm the plat lady tonight. Okay. This site is at the southeast corner of Cotton Lane, I have Cotton Lane on the brain, Camelback Road and Pebble Creek Parkway. Just for some points of reference, this is the UPS facility here, north of Indian School Road. This is Palm Valley Phase 5 over here on the south side of Charles Boulevard. And for Randy, I believe this is the beginning of the Refinery Church here along the 303. This plat, the applicant is dividing the property into 3 light industrial lots. Again, typical warehouse distribution facilities that we see throughout the PV 303 area. They will have access onto Camelback Road and Pebble Creek Parkway when developed, and there will be no access onto Charles Boulevard across from the residential Palm Valley Phase 5 down here. And there are other restrictions as well for when this property develops. It limits the height of the building, and there can be no dock doors facing that street with any sort of landscaping or buffering involved. You can't have it. So there have been allowances made for the residential that exists over here in the development of this property. And again, with the previous plat, when development occurs, there will be improvements made to Pebble Creek Parkway and Camelback Road. There will be a signalization of an intersection here. There will also be contributions made to this signal here. This is an approved site plan that we approved a couple of months back on Lot 1, so right up at the corner of Camelback and Pebble Creek Parkway. It is that cross dock type development with the dock doors on both sides of the building, and just over 500,000 square feet. Just to show you an idea of the architecture and the elevations of that particular building, this elevation here is what will face Pebble Creek Parkway. So some variations in roof height, variations in colors and materials, a lot of nice office type glass features on the corners of the building. And again, the preliminary plat that is on your agenda is consistent with the technical requirements of the subregs and with the engineering standards, and we are recommending approval. And Michael is here for this one as well, if you have any questions of him.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions for staff?
I do have a question.
Commissioner Kish.
Can you pull up the location where it also shows the, yes. Charles Boulevard will be not accessible to trucks, correct?
Correct.
So if
I'm sorry, and let me clarify that. No truck that leaves this property will have an access point onto Charles.
Okay. So trucks will be directed towards Camelback Road and then towards the 303 if that's the direction.
In all likelihood, sure. They go up to Camelback or perhaps down to Indian School to get over to the 303.
Now, the orientation of the warehouse on the site, the doors where the trucks are going to be going in and out, they're going to be east and west facing or north and south facing?
North and south. And lot 1 is probably this much of that overall. And I'm sorry if, see,
Okay.
here's lot 1.
Okay.
So that's the only one that we've had a site plan even submitted on, and we have approved it.
Okay.
And so those dock doors will face Camelback, and these will face,
Like south.
they will face this property line where there will be another industrial building here.
Okay.
So none of that is anywhere near Charles Boulevard.
So lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3 are all correct, already commercial,
Light industrial.
light industrial. So there's no change there. This is just now where we're going with what they want to put there. Okay.
We're basically talking about the 10 acre. Well, how many acres? About 10 acres, 20 acres maybe? In the corner?
What was
Yeah. Just lot one.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's like 60 acres total. Mike, is that right?
Because it's all three that we're considering.
We're just considering the preliminary plat on lot one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's dividing 136.59 to be exact.
Is the total
Into
size
3
1, 2, and
lots.
3?
Total. That's the total size of 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
But right now, we only have a preliminary plat for lot one.
No, the preliminary plat is for all three lots. I was just letting you know that we had a site plan in the process and approved it for lot one.
Oh,
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Maloney first. Go ahead, Commissioner.
My concern with this is, if you could kind of go into a little detail, is about the Camelback Road and the traffic. I mean, right now, the traffic is horrendous. And if I'm thinking, isn't there FedEx going in up there, up the road a little bit? And then we have these more warehouses going in. I mean, what is the thoughts about the traffic?
Well, the traffic study has gone through the process and it's been reviewed and approved. And along with that comes requirements for full half-street improvements to Camelback Road and also to Pebble Creek Parkway. So as this additional traffic gets approved for access onto these roadways, those roadways have to be expanded by the people who are putting the additional traffic on the road.
But they have to expand it half of the full size of the road?
Well, because there are property owners on both sides of the road, these folks own property on the south side of the road. So they are required to, as they develop, improve the south side of Camelback Road. Now, on the north side, I think that's Glendale or the county. It's not us. But anyways, as development occurs up there, that jurisdiction will require them to improve the north side of Camelback Road. You improve what you are adjacent to.
So Goodyear is only responsible for this side of Camelback Road.
In this area.
Karen, I'm sorry. Can I hop in real quick?
Sure.
There's been a whole lot of discussion at council level and with Samit Mohan, our engineering director, and who's in charge of the CIP in the transportation department. The city has been working with Litchfield Park, the city of Glendale, and also the county, because each one of those jurisdictions has control at various points on the north side of Camelback. And as Karen pointed out, we control a lot of the south side of Camelback. So there's been work on the IGA. Recently, the city was secured, I think, about $8 million or so, roughly, from the Arizona State Legislature in order to help fund improvements on Camelback Road. The city is taking a very proactive lead in working on the improvements to the full extent and full width of Camelback Road. Still working with the city of Glendale and with the city of Litchfield Park on what that may end up being, but there is a CIP project that is 100% full steam ahead to construct improvements along Camelback. And as Karen pointed out, the developers are required to improve their frontage, but what could happen is you end up then with the scallop street. So you have like an improved section, and then it goes maybe to 2 lanes, so it goes like this, so to speak, if you're driving. And so the city is proactively trying to not have that happen, but to have constructed a full roadway.
Just another follow-up. So we would say, yes, do this and figure out the road later?
Negative. They are responsible for the development standards require them to improve their frontage. There's a traffic study, as Karen alluded to, that's been reviewed by our engineering department. The city's position in terms of road improvements with Camelback is let's be proactive. The city is going to be constructing as much of Camelback Road as we can in order to alleviate the Scallop Street situation.
Which is why they got the $8 million from the state last year.
Exactly. And conversely, I would also, not conversely, but in addition to that, I would also say when the FedEx facility was going through the approval process, they are also required to do their half street. So there's private investment going on in improvements of the roadway, and then the city is taking a big step in ensuring that the rest of it is built out to standards.
Okay.
And so ultimately, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but it's going to look like, potentially, the rest of Camelback will look like what it looks like from the 303 to basically UPS. There's there's a little piece of the county in there, so there's some other little pieces that we're working with these other jurisdictions on. The south side, I can tell you the south side, yes, sir. The north side, to the extent that we can cooperate and get the other jurisdictions on board, yes, sir. Someone should knock some heads together. Just my recommendation. Ms. Maloney, are you finished with your questions?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll come back if you have more. Commissioner Ellison.
Just an observation. So this reminds me of what 59th and 51st Avenue and I-10 used to look like. That's what it's coming to. So Camelback and Indian School will look like 59th Avenue and I-10 in 5 years. The street, specifically Pebble Creek Parkway and Camelback, is there any plan? I know we only control the south side of the street. I get that. Is there any plan for a light to go in there time soon? Because it is a four-way stop today, and there's about a 20-minute wait at, rush hour to head either east or west at that stoplight or stop sign currently.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Ellison, yes, there is a plan and there's a condition of approval in this pre-plat that because this pre-plat has 1/4 of that intersection, they will contribute 25% of the cost of that signal.
Thank you.
So you're talking about Pebble Creek and Camelback?
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Any other questions for staff? You know what? Someone should call Representative Osborne and have her just really wring some necks. Just a recommendation. Any questions for staff or for the applicant? I'm sorry. Questions for the applicant? No, none? All right. Do you wish to address the commission?
No, we concur with the report.
Perfect. That being said, are there any speakers cards? Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Seeing none, close the, well, it's not a public hearing, so I'll entertain a motion. From anyone on the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the preliminary plat for the Camelback 303, Lot 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Clymer to approve the preliminary plat for Camelback 303. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
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 Okay, Madam Secretary, we'll just do a voice vote just to put it on the record. My apologies. You guys threw me for a loop.
All right. Commissioner Ellison,
Nay.
Commissioner Clymer,
Yay.
Commissioner Kish,
Yay.
Commissioner Maloney,
Nay.
Chairman Bray,
Aye.
and
We'll just check with Vice Chairman Barnes, see if he's on the line.
yes, is Vice Chairman Barnes on the line? Still lost. Okay.
All right.
I have motion fails 3-2.
So that motion fails on a vote of 3-2. The recommendation will move on to a council with our recommendation of not approving only because of how our bylaws are set up. We have to have 4 conforming votes, right? To pass anything. So just to let you know, they'll see the votes as 3-2, but they have the final decision. The project goes forward. It'll just show that it doesn't pass in our votes, just to let you know. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask our staff. I wouldn't panic. I think you'll be fine. So with that, we'll move on to staff communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. Happy New Year. Just a couple of quick updates for you. Would like to introduce Laura Barger. She's going to be helping us out, and Alyssa, and I think she has a PowerPoint presentation about herself. I'm kidding. So she'll be helping us as well. If you remember last month, I think it was it last month, I introduced Debbie Lopez. Unfortunately, Debbie got poached by our HR department and is now working in our HR department. She really loves HR, so wonderful for her. But we're super delighted to have Laura with us as well. So you'll be seeing her and hearing from her and communications moving forward. Several of you have terms that are nearly expired. The council is actively working on some replacements for these positions. So until the council votes to have them replaced, congratulations, you can continue to serve. But we'll let you know if we need you next month or not. I'm not quite sure yet what's going to transpire with that. The council committee is meeting, I think, next week, in order to consider applications. So thank you. If we don't see you next year or next month, we thank you for your service, and we will call you for a future meeting because we do want to give you a token of appreciation for your years of dedication and service to the city. That being
optional if we show up or not.
That's right. We'll do it under a non-agenda item, so that way Vice Chairman Barnes has an opportunity to speak on a non-agenda item. Let's see. Other information for you is effective January 1st, we had a little bit of reorganization in this city. As you know, like the conversation tonight about Camelback Road, that was a city CIP project that's taking lots and lots of time. There's 34 new road projects in our CIP list that were just created the other week. So historically, engineering plan review has been in engineering, along with engineering inspections and our permit counter. In order to create some capacity for the city to increase the velocity of CIP projects like the rec center, roadway improvements, the surface water treatment plant, parks, fire stations, all these things that the city has going on to build, we have pulled those items or those elements from engineering and incorporated them into development services. So engineering is CIP and transportation and street maintenance. So it really gives Samit, our director of engineering, a lot of latitude to create essentially a brand new department that's focused on construction activities and infrastructure for the city. So it's a really exciting opportunity. It's the city growing up in order to address these much needed improvements throughout the city. So it's really an exciting opportunity, and we welcome our friends from engineering. We work very, very closely with them for years and forever, but now they're officially part of us, and we're super excited about that. As part of that, we've had a little bit of staff change. So Steve is interim planning manager, and Katie has been promoted to deputy director. She's just working at home today, so that's why she's not here tonight. So super excited about that. And we're going to be having some additional planners join us as well in the near future, so you'll be seeing some new faces. We also have some other reorganization within the engineering department and things of that nature, promoting some people, some professional development, and trying to create some additional capacity for our workload. So exciting times at the city. Things never stop or slow down, and we're pivoting, adapting, and continuing full steam ahead.
That's Commissioner Maloney, please.
I just have a comment, a question and a comment.
Sure.
on number 3, this use for the convenience for the Bikini Bean coffee shop, that was listed as a Pebble Creek coffee shop on the PowerPoint presentation. So my question is, why was that not discussed? Why was that? I mean, I just thought it was very convoluted. I mean, is this where Goodyear is going? We're surrounded by families. I mean, I don't understand how that got to the table. I mean, I understand that we want to bring business to our communities, but I don't get that at all.
So Commissioner Melodia, I think that there is some confusion about a use permit. So a coffee shop, any sort of coffee shop, could have opened in that location. The only reason it needed a use permit was because it has the drive-through. So what you're really evaluating is, does a drive-through at that location have any kind of adverse impact? You'd look at traffic circulation, that sort of thing. So you'd have to evaluate it as any coffee shop. We've had many discussions internally as to whether we should even say who users are, because that could be a Bikini Beans, but tomorrow it could be a Starbucks if they wanted to take it over. So, you know, we get applications and we zone and we present things based on who the applicant is, but the applicant is almost irrelevant. We're creating statuses for the land itself and how it's developed. So that land now has a use permit that allows it to have a drive-through. To not have to be a coffee shop, it just has to have a drive-through that functions. Now, if they came in with a different type of drive-through use, and it might have more convenient needs, or they have more on-site traffic, they might have to come back and get a different kind of use permit and have some different mitigating measures. But when you're looking at a use permit, it's just that one simple little use that you're looking at. It's like, does that drive-through impact it? They could open that business as a Bikini Beans today without a drive-through, and we couldn't say anything.
So, I mean, not to belabor this, but so if somebody presented the city with a topless use permit.
So I'd have to look at the criteria for topless, but I'm pretty sure we have other ordinances that would impact our ability to have that sort of use anywhere in the city.
Correct.
So unless the First Amendment, if we run afoul of the First Amendment, I mean, we're always kind of subject to the First Amendment protections, what the court says, but that would be a different sort of, we'd be looking at different criteria in looking at that.
The city does have, if I can jump in just one quick second, just to augment what Sarah is indicating, the city does in our ordinance have regulations associated or attached to sexually oriented businesses like a topless bar or anything like that. What this use is that we consider tonight is no different than the restaurant chain that has wings and a lot of other alcoholic beverages. So it's a restaurant. And the only reason it was here, to Sarah's point, is because it had a drive-through. It doesn't rise to the level of being a sexually oriented business.
So, just so I understand that, the only reason it didn't have the name on the presentation was so that wasn't the appearance that we were considering whether or not it was Bikini Bean. It was a drive-through only. So therefore, to not influence people, that's why the name was not put on there.
Yeah, and we've had that discussion. Should we even talk about who the applicant is? You know, I mean, Christian and I had it with the applicant for his rezoning case, you know, because we have a rezoning case based on their development plan, but they could walk out tomorrow, but whoever comes in is bound by that development plan. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you want to have the applicant out there and say, hey, we're really excited about it. But, you know, how many times have you seen us pass ordinances and rezone property and, you know, the next user 2 or 3 times down comes in and actually develops it, you know, many years later.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But
I know.
I wonder, is that what Goodyear wants?
It's not necessarily what Goodyear wants, it's just what our zoning code allows. And, especially for this use, if we even get into any kind of discussion about that sort of use, you're definitely going to have a First Amendment claim.
And to your point, Commissioner Maloney, I think if Goodyear doesn't want it, the business won't be successful and that building will be used as something else. Because the people will vote with their pocketbooks.
Hopefully,
Some will choose to support someone.
Is that the message that we're giving to our girls? Don't we have enough craziness going on in the world? I mean, I don't mean to be so verbal, but I mean, whoa.
Understand.
I think you make a valid point.
I think the city council we kind of look at the law of the zoning.
Right.
The city council may look deeper into
Hopefully.
the type of establishment that would go there. I don't know, but the First Amendment also is very, very clear.
Right, and they're also bound, yeah.
I have never heard of them.
I've never heard of them.
But again, the council's only going to look at what we looked at too.
Right.
Just a use permit.
Yeah.
Council has the same or very similar evaluation criteria on these and are bound by the same First Amendment issues that Sarah's bringing up. So.
Oh, and also the same consideration, because their consideration is limited to the impacts of the use. They already have the zoning. The question is, can they have a drive-through?
Right.
I do appreciate your comments, though.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Very valid. To that, also, before we move on, I would encourage both of you, I'm guessing that the 303 situation is because of Camelback. I would strongly voice your opinions regarding Camelback Road to the council.
Right.
Just so they know why, and also maybe they'll prod someone like a representative that used to be here to rattle some cages.
It's the whole reason
It's
I
that
got
traffic.
involved.
It's horrendous.
horrible.
And I agree with you, but the state did
Terrible.
appropriate that back in
Right.
at the end of June, at the end of our session, and it's line itemed in there, $8 million for that Camelback. So people know about it. It's not like this is a strange deal. And I imagine that we're working diligently on it, but
Goodyear's stuck because we all, as citizens, voted to save Loop,
Right.
and I still agree with that, even though I'm directly impacted by that decision. I live in Palm Valley Phase 5. I'm right there.
right.
But the struggle for Goodyear, that whole Camelback Road all the way out to where it's Litchfield Park, trying to get that paved by, is that Sedella that's out there? One of those, it was impossible because the north side never wanted to put up any money, and Goodyear, the south side was great. So if you're going out west, it was terrible, but if you're coming back, east, it was fine. So, I mean, it's a struggle that Goodyear's had, and, unfortunately the other.
Right, and to that point, I wanted to raise, Christopher, it sounds like the city does have a good plan on starting to address some of these issues with moving the engineering over there.
Yes, sir.
And so my recommendation for those of us that serve in these capacities and even other, volunteer boards, we should really highlight that we're trying to solve the issue and stay ahead of it, because I know driving around the city, whether it's Yuma Road going west or even Cotton Lane going down to Rainbow, and I know Camelback well, like it's frustrating, and I know it's part of growing pains, but I think it'll help if those of us that are in these positions had that information. Maybe it was somewhere and I missed it, because that could have been the thing, but I think that'll help the city. I think it'll help us be a voice out there saying, look, it's part of growing pains, because I know we're going to go through that, but.
Yeah, and as council's directive has pivoted or changed a little bit over time, it used to be 100% growth pace for growth. And it was really because the city was, I don't want to say financially strapped or anything. I'm not implying that one bit, but didn't have the resources, the abundance of resources to go out and proactively spend $30, $40, $50 million on a road project. So that's why we waited for things to develop, and that's when they would build their segments of the road. The city's in a much different position now, but that was back from, the Great Recession and since then. The city's now in a much different position. There are resources, and the council has directed staff, meaning CIP and SMEET with engineering, to really be very proactive in let's construct the roads, get repaid by the development community, but let's deliver a functioning roadway for our citizens so the scallop streets and things of that nature can begin to disappear.
And Camelback in the city plan is the truck route, correct?
I don't remember off the top of my head if that's a truck route or not.
I believe it was.
I honestly don't remember. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Good point. The only other thing I'll maybe we're turning into a gripe session here, but I understand. I mean, there's busy intersections, but like the one that we just approved down on Cotton Lane, I mean, is someone, I gotta imagine someone in engineering, but it feels like we are putting lights up like every block. And that seems to, I'm concerned that that's part of that whole growing thing, right? That I know down near ours in Canyon Trails and even going down Cotton Lane, I mean, you're going to hit 4 lights in a mile. Like, that's just starting to seem inefficient, I guess. But I don't know the answer to that.
Do you know when this will go to council?
The 24th. 24th. Yep.
And now that you have allowed us to opine,
Well said.
it was like, just in case I don't have another meeting, I should get it all out now, right? No, thank all the staff. Great job. Welcome back. Happy New Year. You're doing a wonderful job. Keep it up. Any other comments under this? And so with that, the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on February 16, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Goodyear Municipal Court and Council Chambers. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.